said, I paid all this money for you to go to high school, and you just finished college. So that was the agreement, but it was a fun time being there because I actually had the upper right-hand corner. Those are a couple of my cousins. We grew up since we were babies together. In fact, we're all still real close, and 4 of the 5 of us were at Miami all at the same time. So it was a total blast. It was like, one of them ended up being one of my roommates in a house full of guys, but it was a good time. Everyone used to call when they come to our parties, the family reunion, or I guess going to the family reunion parties, so it was a lot of fun. This guy here went through the ROTC Pro with me. He ended up being a Navy SEAL, and we were in Iraq together. So good time. That really brought formed kind of who I was, today.
You served in Iraq too?
Yeah. So that's the next part. So Rick, I put this up here for you because we were talking about camels specifically.
That could
my
be.
camel was not as impressive as your camel.
You're making everyone think about what's Rick and a camel having.
Yeah.
It's very innocent.
So when I joined the Marine Corps, I was 2005, right? I got commissioned there after the ROTC program, and after going to Quantico for some infantry school, and then I got selected as an intelligence officer. Let's see if I can get the mouse over there. There we go. So I did 2 tours, one kind of out here, all out in Al Anbar, so the Marine Corps. We owned Al Anbar province. So I was out there for one tour, did a ton of different things, everything from jumping around the bases, trying to set up things called UAVs at the time. No one really knew what they were. We did a big operation up here called Operation Dan, defeat Al Qaeda in the north. That's where we had finally secured all the cities. This is 2007, 2008, the Bush surge. I was a part of the surge. And we finally got the manpower we needed, and the handcuffs were taken off. And General Mattis at the time actually gave us our brief and said, throw the rule book out the window, you're going north. And we killed all the rat lines, we called them rat lines up there, but all the wadis they were using for years. And I pretty much just sat in a Humvee from a distance and watched a bunch of planes and bombs go off for 3 weeks and 8 MREs, but we would come in and clean everything up. But it was a phenomenal experience. Then my second tour, I got selected to be on what they call MIT team, a military transition team, and I ended up all the way out here, right on the Syrian border, in a place called Husayba, right where the Euphrates and the Iraqi and Syrian border all come together. It was a big hot spot, and I was embedded with an Iraqi battalion, myself and 12 other Marines. There's some of the pictures. I think that field, if I remember right, that tree line on the other side is Syria. So that field, like that big rice field there, divided.
Language at all?
I could speak Arabic for a little bit. I could throw some yalla and some inshallah around for a little bit, but I've since lost it. Now, if you give me 5 to 6 beers and you put me in a cab here in town, I'll pick it right back up again.
That didn't offend anyone.
It's just what it is. For some reason, I can speak it pretty well when I had a few beers. But I'm still in the reserves now, so I got out as a captain, so I was there as a lieutenant. Got out as a captain in 2009, pretty much transitioning into 10. And so I've been to a couple of other places through the reserves. It's been great. I've done Korea a bunch of times. I just got back from South Africa this past summer. I took guys out there for a NATO mission. I just checked out of an infantry battalion here, which was a great experience where I was the battalion intelligence officer. So I'm a major now, and I have snipers and I did, they call it JTAC, so the guy that calls in air support. But I never deployed with them, but it was a great time just being with those guys. My wife used to, give the analogy, said it was kind of like letting the dog off the leash once a month, and like you let your dog run around the park. I just let you off the leash 1 week a month, and you go out and like run and get all the testosterone out of your body. And half the time if we were staying in Cleveland, not going to the field, we would sit in our hotel and drink. And it was like my guy time once a month. So she's like, you come back and all you want to do is curl up and cuddle on the couch. So it was like you were all done. So she used to think that was pretty fun. But after the Marine Corps, I then transitioned over into GE. So I got a job kind of right out of the military. GE had a couple different opportunities. And that's where I met my wife. So I'll get into the GE career here in a second, but I met my wife there. We both love playing golf. She's super good. I've only beaten her like maybe 2 or 3 times. And then we started to do, offspring there. So that's my daughter, the oldest. That's Ella. That's her first day of school this past year. And then this past weekend, Eli. I couldn't find a good picture on Facebook, but that's about as good as it gets for Eli. But he's awesome. Outside of work, love doing anything. 5Ks, that's a Tough Mudder from like a year or two ago. I've run the Flying Pig twice. Love playing golf whenever I get a chance. And then vacations, like we love going down to Florida with the family. We're taking the kids to Disney World when this is done. So, and the kids love the beach, so that's a big part. But as far as the program, after this up, I saw Sean put his up. So for me, the career G started as they call it lead security specialist. I basically started in classified spaces. It was just a foot in the door. It was grunt work. There's nothing. It was basically a giant compliance role. And then after that, it's kind of an interesting story. So it was a small office, maybe 5-6 people. There were probably another 30 or 40 IT people in there. And the manager at the time, who had the title of FSO, Facility Security Officer, so that's the government. You have to have one of those designated when you have classified at a facility like Evendale has. And she was fired. She basically had a series of events where she ran the office into the ground. It was a total cancer back there. A lot of people were just picking up their laptops because it was classified space and just choosing to work somewhere else. They didn't even want to sit in the office space. So, and it wasn't that big. It was maybe the size of like this whole NBA lounge. So, and when they were done, I just kind of kept my head down. I had other things. I just got married. I was focusing on it. I got done doing some schooling with the Marine Corps. And I was kind of last man standing. So they said, hey, hold the place down for 2 months till we hire someone new. So I was basically doing one level of job, and it ended up being almost a year. And we, at the time, we get these ratings by the government. We had kind of just a mid-tier level. If you have 5 levels, like a level 3 rating, and they said just keep the boat afloat. Don't do anything. Don't feel like you got to go get like the highest rating or anything like that when the assessment comes around. And of course, my ego got in the way, and I saw an opportunity, and I took it to the highest security rating they ever had in 10 months. So they then moved me. That was a good win. So they moved me into the global security team, where they gave me some more responsibility in a different area. So moved over one building. It was a fascinating 3 years in that role. I did what they call crisis management, and at the time, it's something we were merging called global security. So we were essentially looking at the world as it was transitioning. With the Arab Spring was going on, we had a couple different events. We had a plant burned down over in Dowdy, so we lost an entire plant, so that was a big wake-up call. And we had the Paris event happen, so a lot of things were impacting the company at the time. Fukushima also happened at that time, and there were some GE turbine engines in there. So between crisis management and global security, I had a lot of opportunities to help grow those 2 programs, and have done so. And then this past July, after I had decided to, the company asked me and said, hey, we think the Xavier Executive MBA program would be a good fit for you. You should try to go do it. I said, okay, and I applied and got in. This past July, I was brought into a project with the FBI that pretty much changed everything for me. So I now run the insider threat team. So what had happened was, one of our people, we'd always known that the threat was there, that people were trying to steal our stuff, people, whoever it is, whether it's state governments or hackers or whatever. But this was the first time it was somebody within the ranks who had been manipulated to go to hand over information for a state-owned actor. And so that journey started last July, and this past April led to the arrest of the highest-ranking Chinese agent ever. And he's sitting in a jumpsuit in Belgium right now, so he'll come here in September. But what that led to was my new role. So they bumped me up, gave me promotion 2 months ago, and asked me to lead the Insider Threat Task Force. So now I pull a group of people together, and we basically are taking a holistic look at it, saying it's not just cyber now. It's how do we stop the person who's doing everything right and doesn't even realize that they're giving away information that they maybe think that they're trying to go. They really do think that they're presenting at a university, or they think that being a part of this organization is a good idea. So how do we look at our employees and identify who's susceptible to it before they even before they start to do things. So it gets pretty dicey. It's an interesting time. There's a lot of lawyers and compliance people involved, and we're having to ask ourselves a lot of ethical questions right now. And there's people way above my pay grade that are having to make the decisions, but at least I'm presenting for them the opportunity to say, hey, here's this, you know, you can read about it in Wall Street Journal and Business Insider, things called Confucius Institutes, and they're at universities, and they're Chinese government-sponsored programs. You know, here's the pattern that we see. All the people that we've detected have all at one point been a part of a Confucius Institute that have all eventually stolen information from the company. So how do we want to change our hiring practices?
Yep.
You know, and those are tough questions to ask that I'm not going to answer right now. And so the next level really for me about work and what I see is what would be an executive role. There's nowhere else for me to go but to that next level. So it just works out that I happen to be in this program. So hopefully I can crawl across the finish line and things can pay off going through the program. For me, it's about removing myself from the military culture that I've been in for so long, and it's the same personalities, it's the same way of thinking, hierarchy, put the check in the box process, because even at GE, all the people that I work with are all former military, FBI, Secret Service, so this has been a huge blessing for me to get away from all those personalities and really get away from that way of working and expand the way I think about business. And quite frankly, if I'm going to move to the executive role, I'm going to have to start dealing with more of the budget, you know, long-term planning. How am I going to run the organization more like a business and not a security organization? Because that's about the next level our organization needs to go to. So.
Any misconceptions people have on Iraq?
I don't know. So I don't know. People sometimes think that, you know, the one that I hear is, did we lose Iraq, or was it ever like really done? It was done. Like, it was done, sealed, and delivered. In 2009, when I was there, I mean, yeah, there were still attacks that happened, but I mean, we actually, I think, I just found this out.
Like the culture.
Oh, the culture. Yeah, I mean, some of the perspectives are exactly what you think. You know, there's a lot of people who really do care there. They really want to make a difference. Unfortunately, there's enough divide in the country that I think that, I don't know if it'll ever get there. I think that if the misconception I think people have is that Iraq can survive in the state that it is. I don't think it can ever be a country because of the religious cultural divide. It'll always be there. You'll always have the Kurds in the north, the Shia to the east, and the Sunnis in the west. And I think if, you know, the only reason it exists the way it is because the British, after World War I, just drew a bunch of lines in the sand. So this is the new, you know, country. They carved up the Ottoman Empire. And I think if someone had, you know, the cojones enough to say, Iraq is dissolved, we're going to call it Iraq Shia, Iraq Sunni, and Kurdistan, and just left of that, I think eventually they could stand on their own. But to think that Iraq will ever would be like that, I don't know.
Well, thank you. Good stuff. Thank you. Mike, all right, who else we got? You ready, Lonnie? Oh,
I've got one, I just don't know if I can connect.
Amanda's still there, right? So we got three?
You gotta plug in, right?
We got three.
You can plug in his, you can connect to his.
Yeah.
If I can.
No, go ahead. Well, that's actually not a flash drive.
Oh, it's not?
Oh, yeah, this one?
Yeah, I did. Right, yeah.
You see what Randy did to me yesterday on the $5 bill? He says, so he takes $5 bill and he says there's a famous person, a dairy product, and a famous movie on that $5 bill. Do you know what it is? And I said, famous person, Abe Lincoln. He goes, that's right. He says, what about the dairy product in the movie? And I said, I don't know. He says, you want me to show you? He says, yeah. He took my $5 bill yesterday. He goes, Abe Lincoln, half and half, gone with the wind. I know.
Was that the way you marked it?
I felt like an idiot.
Wow.
He took my money, just ripped it down. So then he gave me a fresh $5 bill, taped the other one together, gave it to himself. He had tears in his eyes. He was so proud of himself. He was laughing so hard.
Oh, HDMI should work.
Couple sliders left, someone wants to slide one down. I saw Doug that day, I was like, alright, I got it.
I know, I never had one in you and it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad.
I should put that piece in.
There's bacon, more sauce, I don't know if there's any sausage left, but there's probably bacon.
I'll eat it for lunch.
Huh?
I'll eat it for lunch.
Lonnie, how come it's not showing up?
Mike knows how to
Mike,
fix
you
this.
wanna-
You have to
With their screen.
toggle from
Oh, yeah,
one display to the other.
here. I think I have it.
Hey, Sean,
Yes.
do you remember we figured out what the breed dog was?
Yeah.
So I took it into the groomer, because now I know it needs to get its hair cut. So we took it in the groomer, get their hair cut. I can show you pictures, 'cause that's like.
Because your thing is.
Is it shaver?
I thought I got a cool big dog. I don't, I've got a teeny tiny dog now.
Is that on the slide or you
Yeah, I
gonna?
got one.
Can you go to the next slide? Or go to PowerPoint meeting?
Aww.
Look how small that is.
Oh, yeah.
It's always so cute.
What kind of a dog?
So we didn't know what it was. They said it was a Schnauzer border collie. It was big. Let me show you, actually. Let me show you what it looked like when we got it. There. All right, so I'll show you. So this is my dog,
Switch it.
Yeah.
and she weighs about 40 pounds.
All right, let's keep going. Lonnie's next.
I'll
All
show you
right,
in a
so
minute.
my two daughters,
What you need more of?
Grace and
Same
Emily.
breed.
Grace is the older one on the left, Emily's on the right. We'll be in second grade, we'll be in kindergarten. So they'll be 8 or 6 soon. So they actually live in Cleveland, or close to Cleveland, 4 hours from here, and I've actually been there 8 weekends in a row. So I spend a lot of my time.
You live there?
No, I have 2 places, one here, one there.
Okay.
So, but I'm always driving back.
Yeah.
So, my biggest objective of the program is to not miss a visit. But divorced, I have been every week.
Yeah.
I haven't missed one yet, so that's my biggest priority.
That's a challenge, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. It's good and bad, because during the week I'm freer than perhaps some other people are.
Yeah.
They go home with families, and I stay, and it's still 10 p.m. So, academic-wise, I have 2 bachelors from bowling, and 1 in German, 1 in math.
Wow.
And then I got a certificate from the University of Salzburg in German. That's
You got French, you got German,
language.
Spanish, you got English.
Yes, German.
Any others?
So you get a microphone.
I did study at the University of Salzburg for three semesters. That's where I got my language certification in German, and then a master's degree from West Virginia University in statistics. Most of my real hardcore education comes from the Society of Actuaries. That's where I spend most of my time actually trying to learn. So pretty rigorous background there as an actuary. And these are universities I've taught for. So I teach for the math department here at Xavier, taught for these other universities here, as well as West Virginia and Bowling Green as an adjunct. So.
You got my shoes.
What's that?
You got my shoes.
Yes, very similar. So I teach the stats and an actuarial pricing course here at Xavier. So I started my career as a pension actuary and employer benefits, HR services, both on the pension valuation side, so and healthcare plan consulting. So when ACA was coming out, Affordable Care Act, I was reading it, trying to determine how that was going to affect employers' healthcare plans. I spent most of my time on the pension side, however. So these were some of my clients back right out of undergrad when I was working as a pension actuary at on versus Big Boy's pension plan, both their rank and file plan and their manager plan and their executive supplemental retirement plan as well. Scripps, which is Food Network, Home and Garden, some of those in Great American Country, some TV stations and newspapers. Worked on Procter & Gamble's retiree medical plan, which is the largest of its kind in the country. And AK Steel worked on a proposal for their pension plan, actuarial services, as well as DJ Joseph Company, which Lou was the CEO of. Not sure when I was working on their pension plan, but he has an affiliation there, and then Vera Bradley pension is maybe you can relate to
I know very well.
I left the pension world, I went and worked at
We're
GE
friends.
Aviation, so I have an association there too. I was pricing their jet engines, their maintenance contracts. So the big GE90, the big 10-foot wingspan engines. And then worked at Western Southern for about 4 or 5 years, and as a product actuary, so I was doing product development work, tax compliance work, grab bag full of stuff. And now I work at Protective Life. I run the analytics team for the distribution organization. And then some hobbies. I'm a huge guitar fan. This is me at the Guns N' Roses concert here at Paul Brown and the Metallica concert in Columbus
Hell yeah.
a year ago. So that's my passion. I'm also on staff of the American Model United Nations in Chicago, which is kind of not related to anything else, but that's a huge 100 university.
Did you do that when you were younger?
I did.
On the United Nations?
So now I work in the research
Great program.
department for that organization.
And Lonnie,
That comes up.
can you do this?
Yeah, right? I actually got one of the Pixies throughout the place. That's all
Great, why MBA?
I got. Well, so I got a pretty robust background as a mathematician, a statistician, but I'm kind of at the point in my career where that doesn't do anything for me now. So I don't want to be a data scientist. I don't want to be the mathematician or the research statistician. I'm kind of bored with it. So how do I get to, and those guys don't make the money anyway. Actuaries don't, they make good money, but they don't make the good money. So how do I get to that?
Hope kind of money, you mean?
Rick kind of money.
I was trying to divert it to hope here.
And you can kind of see from my teaching that I enjoy being in the classroom more than I do behind a computer screen. So I would enjoy crunching numbers for the rest of my life. So.
Great stuff, Lonnie, thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you ready?
Is this what you're going to be doing when Hope opens her new business? Here, let me get that for you, Hope.
Sean's gonna be
If it pays enough, right?
Exactly, I'm not about that at all.
He helped put together the business plan. It's like, are you sure the IT guys are doing that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Where did it go?
It's on,
That's happening.
That's fun.
There's something new when you moved it.
Move.
You're not gonna get a job this way, Sean.
Patient's headache is getting worse.
Oh, you're getting it?
It's not my,
You gotta bring it in, Mike, you wanna help bring it in the view?
how do you,
She's everybody.
Where's the overhead projector for mine? I'm next.
You got your transparency made?
I do.
I need you, Mike.
There we go. Yay.
Me too. So, on the top right is my family. So I'm a first generation born Jamaican. So both my parents were born in Jamaica and came to the United States before I was born. Both my parents were nurses and they came to the United States to live the American dream. My siblings are also first generation born here as well. My brother is on the far left and he lives in Orlando, Florida, and he has 3 children. My sister is on my right, and she lives in Augusta, Georgia, and she is a professor, an associate professor, just got promoted, of music education. And then my baby sister, Jennifer, is in Washington, D.C., and she is at Georgetown Law School, and she's studying to be a lawyer, and she's doing a double degree, getting her JD as well as PhD as well. So we come from a family of overachievers, and part of that is, again, just based on my family's background, working hard and hopefully that paying off. The picture in the middle is a picture of me and my husband, so I've been married, it will be 20 years in August. We met when we were in college as freshmen at the University of Rochester in Rochester, New York. He is a cardiologist who works here in Cincinnati, and he is a heart failure specialist. He does heart failure and cardiac transplant, and he works at the Christ Hospital. And on the top, your top right is a picture of our kids. We have 2 cats, no children. That's Tabitha and Nicholas, and they're 9 years old. And you can see based on their faces, their personalities, they're quite mischievous. But they're here in their bed. They have their own room and their own bed. And
Of course they
at
do.
night they know when it's bedtime and they actually go right into their room.
So room like a room in your house, room?
Yeah,
They have their own room.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
Do you let them use devices after a certain time?
It's their room.
So living here in Cincinnati, my husband's from upstate New York, and about 4 years ago, we decided to take up skiing. It's one of the ways we decided to live through the winters here. So there I am. We were in Aspen. My husband had a conference out there, and so we took a few, every year we try to take lessons to try to get better. And I am now at a very easy black or hard.
Good for you.
So it's exciting. We love to travel. We've traveled all over the world, and our last trip was this April when we went to Nice and Cannes. On the bottom corner here is a picture of Nice, one of my favorite cities. And then for the first time, visited Milan. And the picture here in the middle is a picture of the Opera House in Milan. It's exciting. And then the last picture here is a picture of me and my husband back in Jamaica. We were there 2 years ago, and the lady on the right is my cousin, who was planning our 20th anniversary shindig. It was supposed to be just a small group of friends and family. We decided to celebrate and do our vow renewal in Jamaica. So, plan of my family, and turns out to be now over 60 people from the U.S. that are attending our event. So we're excited. This is actually a picture of us in Jim Kingston, and the chalice and plate that we're holding are actually from Captain Morgan. So you guys have heard of Morgan Rum, and my cousin has some connections. We were able to go and take all that. So that's very cool. So this is just a quick summary of my educational background. So as I mentioned before, I got my undergraduate degree at the University of Rochester, New York, where I majored in neuroscience, and then my husband actually stayed on and actually got accepted to medical school as a sophomore. And so while he was in medical school, I supported him through those 4 years. And then when he graduated, I applied to University of Rochester here, and he supported me through medical school. So we have been in Rochester since 2001, when I started medical school, and then graduated from the University of Cincinnati in 2005. After that, I did my residency at the University of Cincinnati in neurology, so I'm an adult neurologist. And after I graduated from residency, I decided to do another year of headache medicine. So I'm board certified in both neurology as well as headache medicine. I am also an associate professor of neurology, so I teach residents and medical students through at Children's Hospital, and I also run their young adult headache program. As an associate professor, it involves teaching and publication, so the picture in the middle is one of the first chapters that I wrote throughout my faculty position. And then last year, after being involved in a leadership program through the American Academy of Neurology, had made a decision to pursue business. And part of that is because of the landscape of medicine. So medicine has become so much of a business, and a lot of my colleagues were frustrated by a lot of the changes that were being made, but unfortunately didn't have the time because they were taking care of patients, to make any changes. So I decided, well, you know, my husband is very supportive, and so I thought to myself, why not go ahead and pursue the degree in order to have the skills to come to the table, and then also help to make changes. So that's just a picture of you all received the acceptance letter that I received last summer. So through this program, I've already started a project of starting my own business, which I did not anticipate starting so soon. But because of Rick and Lonnie and Sean and the rest of the class, they've been very supportive, and I'm actually on track on possibly opening before I graduate. So I had a conversation with my husband a couple days ago, and I thought, do you think I'm crazy? Because I feel like I'm a little crazy. So I do a lot, I wear a lot of hats, and so, you know, things are moving pretty quickly, and, you know, I'm still working full-time and still pursuing this program, and then trying to open up a business, and so.
What's the concept?
So the concept is a concierge practice, so I'm one of 526 headache specialists in the country, and unfortunately headache medicine, headache in general is an underserved area, so there's a lot of patients, but not enough specialists to handle these patients, and so my concept is to build a clinic where patients will come in and basically shop one and done. They don't have to shop from one provider to the next, and they get all of the treatment options available in treating and managing their headaches.
So when she says clinic, we should see what
Well,
Yeah.
actually looks like.
I kind of want to just have a headache.
So Jeff, do you ever get headaches? Yeah?
Rick's gonna
Huh?
be the spokesman.
Well, I mean, for $8,000,
Are you familiar with MKTG?
we can make that go away.
away.
Well, I love your, that sounds really cool. Thank you, awesome, great job, thanks. Yeah, you.
Right, Amanda.
Yeah.
You know what, I did, based on this recommendation, I pulled some,
I've done a couple.
Have you ever seen those window commercials where it's like, we can save you a lot of money?
Yes, that's
That should be
right.
like you and Pope in there in those commercials. She's got the frizzy hair.
Rick's got such a big smile.
I
Oh,
know.
I thought I was gonna slip through the net there.
No, I would have knocked you out.
I know, I wanna be that guy.
And your headache out.
We don't care about making money, we just love to get rid of headaches. Remember
Your
that?
gutter giving you a headache,
What?
I'll clean your gutter, and she'll clean your headache. Oh man, this toilet sure is giving me a headache.
There it is, right there.
Yeah.
isn't there a way to connect my computer in here?
You got me shaking.
That's funny.
You don't have HDMI?
Do I just need to do
No,
that?
no, no. You don't have HDMI?
I feel like I definitely used my computer in here before.
Well,
I used the mini port.
I'm excited.
We should let Rick
I got
go.
one
Rick, why don't
photo
you go?
that I can
Oh,
show.
Rick,
You're up. Huh?
Rick, you're up. You're so good.
Oh, no.
I can't.
My turn?
I can use somebody else's.
Email it to
I'm
me.
gonna save you guys for last.
Flash drive.
Email it to your